Hi, and welcome back to Talk of the Town. Earth Day is just around the corner, and today we are talking about financial sustainability. I'm joined by Sue Peck with Evolution Financial, founder and president. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, and I always learn quite a bit from you. So let's talk first about what it takes to become financially sustainable.
Well, first off, I want to say that Earth Day is one of my favorite holidays of the year. It really is. So if you get the opportunity to go out and volunteer at the city park, with a county park, whatever, take a bag around your neighborhood and pick up some trash, do that because it'll just help the world.
That's a great thing to do, you're right.
So financial sustainability, one of the best things you can do is spend less than you make. It's
Make it sound so simple.
I know, it's really simple, but it's not easy. And that's
Right.
the whole problem, right? Because you have this idea that, here's what I'm bringing in, that's what I can spend. And sometimes it's more difficult depending on what you're bringing in. But really the best way to become financially sustainable is to spend less than you make.
So I imagine that takes a little bit of planning because you need to know how much you're making and know how much you foresee to be spending.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk a little bit about for folks who are spending more than they make. What's the cause of that? Like you said, it may not be as easy as it sounds.
Right. The biggest cause of this is keeping up with the Joneses.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally fell victim to this when I was in my 20s. I guess I shouldn't say victim because I did it to myself. But, I graduated from college. I saw all of my friends getting these great jobs and they were spending all of this money on all the cool things. And I'm like, I went to college. I can do that too. I didn't have the greatest job. And so I was going out and I was buying all of the cool things and I found myself in a really deep hole. And it was all because I was just trying to keep up with everybody around me. I mean, it really is the biggest cause.
Yeah, absolutely. So along with having all the great things also comes all the big debt. So we're trying to avoid that, but
Yes.
How tough it is to do that sometimes. Like you said, there's some pressure to sort of keep up with your peers.
Mm-hmm.
And when you continue to spend more than you make, I mean, I'm sure you see this quite a bit. What really happens?
So there are a lot of things that happen. The first thing that happens that you'll start to really experience is a lot of stress. I mean, it keeps you up at night. When I was going through this in my 20s and I had gotten myself into this big hole, I wasn't sleeping, and I got to this point where I couldn't do anything fun because I didn't have the ability to do it. I didn't have any money. So not only is it causing this stress, but it's also putting your life behind. The rest of your friends or the rest of your peers or whoever, they're moving forward, they're saving, and you are trying to get back from back here forward. So you're really putting yourself in a bad position.
It's interesting that you say that because you're really not only talking about your financial well-being, you're also talking about your emotional well-being. So it's really about the big picture for somebody, and I know that's something that you spend time on when you work with your clients. So for folks at home who are thinking, maybe they're in this position, maybe they're trying to stay out of that position, what do you spend money on? What are your recommendations?
I would spend money on things that bring you value. I mean, it really does come down to what are you looking at and what is it going to bring into your life. And a lot of times you got to buy something that's really good quality too, because the things that aren't good quality are things that are going to fall apart. Again, this is really difficult for some people who are not making a lot of money, so you really do have to kind of weigh it out. But one of the things we do in society is we encourage this idea of consumerism. And I think what we need to encourage is the idea of contentment. How do you make yourself happy? What do you bring into your life that brings this value, that brings contentment, instead of just this constant need to get more of everything?
Yeah, and I read something about that a while ago myself, where sometimes that big purchase that you're so excited about will really only make you excited for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and it wears off. But it's really more about the day-to-day conveniences that keep you happy. Okay, so someone that's watching and thinking they can make some changes, how fast would you say sustainability and independence can happen?
Well, depending on where you're at, it could take a while or it could happen pretty quickly. For me, again, in my 20s, it took a while. I had gotten myself into a really big mess. But the thing was, as I went through this, and I'm constantly watching it now, I have the keep up with the Joneses, but I'm far behind because I can't do anything that everybody else is doing. But I developed a sense of pride of, I'm doing this for myself. I'm going to improve my future. I'm now saving for future Sue. And it can take a while and it can be really frustrating, but reach out to friends that you know you can talk to and say, hey, this is what I'm going through.
Well, if you're looking for a little financial sustainability in your life and you think Sue can help you, get in touch with her at Evolution Financial. Thanks for being with us today.
Absolutely, thank you.
We'll see you right after the break right here on Talk of the Town.